For the pizza dough, you need your water to be between 120 and 130 degrees Fahrenheit to activate your yeast. And I got the water as hot as I could out of the tap. And if you look at the thermometer, it is at about 110. So I'm going to need to put my water in the microwave for about 10-20 seconds, and then we'll see where we're at. So getting the tap water as hot as I possibly could, then I microwave the water for probably another 30 to 40 seconds to just now barely get it to 120. So just for your information. And there's my 2 packets of yeast. Make sure you get all the yeast out of the packet. So 2 packets. And my sugar, 2 teaspoons. Stir. And then just let it sit. And in 5 minutes, it should be foamy. It is foaming up now. You can see the layer of foam. Okay, and I'm getting my other ingredients ready. I'm going to try the KitchenAid mixer rather than the large plastic bowl. And so in here I have 1/4 cup olive oil, and you can use olive oil or vegetable oil. I have the 2 teaspoons garlic salt, 2 teaspoons onion powder, 2 tablespoons of dried basil, 2 teaspoons of crushed red pepper, and then I'm going to measure the honey last. Just a tip, because you don't want to get your 1 tablespoon measuring spoon all covered in honey. Do the honey last. But a little tip on the crushed red pepper, you put it in your hand and then you crush it with your fingers. Okay, that releases the flavor. So again, the last thing I'm going to put in here is my honey. So this is step 2, the first half of step 2. Mix the oil, honey, olive oil, and the spices together. So just give those a stir before you add your next part, which is the yeast mixture is going to be added to this. And my yeast mixture has been sitting for at least 5 minutes. You can see there's a nice 1-inch layer of foam on the top. So I'm just going to pour that in with the spices and the olive oil and the honey. And then we will give that a stir. So it's very liquidy, as it should be, because it's 2 cups of water, oil, and honey. And now I'm going to start measuring my flour. It says to add at least 5 cups to the large mixing bowl with the yeast and that other stuff. So this is 5 cups of flour, and I measured it quickly. I did it just like Chef Chris did, where you just scoop it in there and level it off. So 5 cups, I'm gonna go put it on the mixer. So we'll see how this goes. I have the dough hook on the KitchenAid mixer, and I'm gonna put, actually I need to take this off. Put my bowl on first. Okay, you wanna make sure that you have it secure. And you have to press down hard until it locks into place, and then we put on our dough hook, and then we lift our bowl up and we put on the guard. And I haven't ever used this before, you guys. These are brand new, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, I would start by turning it on low. Here is the speed control right here. So I'm just going to move it to the part that says stir. Okay, and then we'll go from there. Okay, here we go. Stir. Oh, nice. So far, no problem. There's no flour flying out. And we're gonna need to turn it up a little bit. And you never want to turn this up very high. We're just kneading the dough. You want to mix it until it gets good and combined, and until it forms a ball of dough. And that's what it looks like inside so far. Okay, it is now pretty much formed a ball of dough. So we're going to go ahead and turn it off and remove it to the surface and knead it some more by hand. So this is a little bit better view of what's going on in here. So the way you remove the dough hook is you pull up and then you turn it to the left, and then we'll remove the bowl and we will knead it by hand on the countertop. So you want your surface cleaned, and then you're going to sprinkle some flour on your surface. The recipe does say 5 to 6 cups of flour total. So right now I just have 5 cups of flour in my pizza dough, and this is what it looks like at this point. You will want to put some flour on your hands before you handle the dough. Yeah, it's really sticky. I actually needed to add some more flour to it before I take it out of the bowl. So I'm gonna put it back in on the KitchenAid and add some more flour to it. It's way too sticky. So I added about another half cup of flour. So again, it was way too sticky. So we'll try this again. And I have it just on the stir level. Okay, we don't want this too high. Okay, that's looking better. Let's try it again. Okay, so here is my dough, and I have a total of probably 5.5 cups of flour in here now. And again, you want to put it on a floured surface, and then you want to knead it. So kneading, if you haven't done this before, it's just a method of mixing in when you're making like bread dough or tortillas, anything like that. So you just want to work it with the palm of your hand, and you're feeling for stickiness. If it's too sticky, you want to add some more flour. And if you want to, you could divide this in half, and 2 people could do this, or you could take turns doing it. You want to knead it for about, I think the recipe says about 5 minutes, till smooth and elastic. And I can feel, I mean, this dough is pretty smooth already. And I do have a couple of tools out, a bench scraper and also a dough scraper. So those are good for, I don't know, if this was sticking to the surface. The dough scraper also is good for cutting things in half. So if you remember on the directions, since we're making so much dough, we doubled the recipe, the original recipe. You will need to use 2 Ziploc bags. So you'll have to take this ball of dough and divide it in half. Doesn't need to be exact, but pretty good. And then you want to label your Ziploc bags. Again, each group should have 2. And this is getting sticky, so that's why I added some more flour. Okay, I've labeled my Ziploc bag. Remember, I have 2, and you will have 2 as well, because you will divide the dough in half. You need to generously spray the inside of the bag with nonstick spray. And then I also recommend, but you don't have to, pouring a little bit of olive oil in your hand and then coating your dough with a little bit of olive oil. And then you can throw it in the Ziploc bag and zip it shut, and then it will be ready for you to bake the next day. And this was what was left in the bowl after I mixed it a little bit more with flour, so it wasn't so sticky. And just so you know, I did end up using close to 6 cups of flour, and you'll probably use just as much, and sometimes even more. So our cleanup, you know, we have to get all the flour off the surface, and then also you need to wipe down the mixer. Do not forget to do that.